Hello.
Well, hi. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
So we had another race this past weekend, I think, right?
We did. We did. I
It was
apologize for the audio if it sounds like shit. I had a little technical difficulties with the normal podcasting station, so we're
yeah.
improvising today.
Unfortunately, last week, for those of you that tried to join us, we weren't able to actually make the podcast because of some connectivity issues. So Andy's working on that on his side. Mine's okay for right now, but there's some stuff I got to do to mine too later. But I'm gonna turn my light on so y'all can actually see a little bit better. This beautiful.
Oh, that's gross. Turn it back off.
Oh no.
Yeah, we had a race this weekend.
So we had a race this weekend. We had a pretty good week, pretty good races this weekend actually. Overall, pretty happy with what was on track all weekend long.
Yeah, I enjoyed all three races. Well, the truck race was kind of arcish-y. Didn't really.
Yeah.
I didn't really care too much for the truck race. I flipped on and off on that race. I did watch the Xfinity race all the way through. I think Portland is a unique racetrack and wouldn't mind seeing the Cup cars go out there one day, but holy shit, that would be a hell of a drive.
It would be, yeah, that'd be huge. I mean, they'd have to work it in. I'm so happy it's y'all's favorite month. Dakota, this one's dedicated to you. This is literally your month.
Alex Bowman fans unite.
Yeah, I mean, your best driver, Alex Bowman, do the part. And, we're here for you, sir. Support any way we can, okay?
We're supporting somebody else today.
That's the closet door right there. You can come out now.
We're supporting somebody else today.
But, no, it was a great racing. Obviously, I'd love to see the Cups out there. But like we talked about a little bit in the group chat, and we'll talk about in this, turn one's Bowman Yas clean.
Yes.
Yes.
Portland's trash. You're trash. Fuck out of here.
Wait, he's here. Okay, how the heck did you choose Chase Elliott in your fantasy? And then Andy, how did you lose
not using the fantasy
guy that chose Chase Elliott in his fantasy?
Wish you got a screenshot of it.
I got a screenshot of it, and then I got a screenshot of you losing to him with Chase Elliott in his lineup. Go KFB. Yep, 100%. Great job, KFB. He's got his current one. I got one of the old ones from when he was running M&M's cars. But
you did not mess up.
You did not pick LaJoie. No. It clearly states in the
picture. It had LaJoie in the 9 car and Hostapart in 7. I almost picked Corey for my fantasy. I thought about it because I was like, that's going to be a good waste of a pick because, he's in good equipment. I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, he was in great equipment while he got passed by the car that he normally races in.
I didn't even look to see where I finished out
at. You got last in ours, and then I want to say you got third or fourth in the other one with all the NASCAR group chat guys. I got first in ours and second in the other one because I didn't choose Kyle Busch. I chose Ross. I really thought Ross was going to come back this race, but he is just having a heck of a time ever since his little Chevrolet and Hendrick talk.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I kind of thought that Ross would have had one or two bad races throughout the season, but not 2 or 3 back to back.
Yeah, it's really been a downhill slump for him right now.
You forgot to make your licks for the 600. Well, whatever you're licking, leave us out of it, please.
So, are you a Bowman fan now? Just wondering. Question.
League. I am leading the league though, so.
I think you're leading both. No, I think Joseph's leading one still.
I'm crushing you guys. I got like a 200-point lead.
Yeah, you're way up there on me. At one point during the race, though, because I had literally first through fifth picked, I had so many points. It's like, if it could just finish right here, I could make up a ton of points. Because I was at like 290 something, and everyone else was like 140. I was like,
Dakota did win out.
Yeah, he edged me out. He had Busch, and who else did he have? I mean, Bush ultimately gave him the win.
I had Bush and Blaney, which helped me out a lot, and then I had Harvick, Chastain, and Reddick, and of course Reddick had the blown rotor.
Yep.
Where did Harvick finish?
Harvick finished top. He was top 5, wasn't he?
Love edging.
Love edging.
I had Larson in my garage, and obviously he stunk up the first and second stage. So, excuse me.
Did you get him switched in time, or did you not get him switched in?
No.
See, I had Bubba.
I don't remember when Reddick blew that rotor. I think it was after the second stage, so it didn't even matter.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I had Bubba in the garage, and at first, when it got to the close ending of stage 2, I'm like, okay, he's running better than Ross. Maybe I should put him in there. But then obviously his rotor blew up too. So luckily it kind of worked out, but Ross just didn't do well. I had Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Byron, because I really thought he was going to have a really good day, which he did for the most part. Ended up getting really loose and then making his way back into the top 10. So that was great for him.
Byron had I think Byron probably had the best car out of the Hendrick stable. Obviously, I listened to Larson's scanner for most of the race, and that he was shit the first and second stage, and obviously Cliff worked on it, made it a better car. I did not expect, though, when he took 2 tires and came out with the lead, I didn't expect for him to be able to hold that track position. I was quite amazed that after multiple restarts, he was giving KFB a challenge for the lead. So
wasn't it Reddick that did the 2-tire change, and then he for 3 laps he was up there, and then all of a sudden
there was 1 or 2 guys that would take 2 tires, and they both.
Blaney was the other one that took 2 tires, and he was able to keep out to the front. That was
Blaney actually
into stage 1.
Yeah, I think Blaney won the stage.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, he was able to stay, but everyone else that pitted with 2 didn't. Got the beast tonight, Yee. What's up, Will? Hey, watch them ankles. I saw you doing them BMX tricks out there. Watch them ankles now. Can't be getting out of work.
I gotta plug this beast stuff too. This stuff is delicious.
Yeah, non-sponsored. We don't even get sponsored by anybody. So
is it in South Carolina yet?
Yeah, Beast is.
We bought this.
Yeah, Beast is. It's the Mountain Dews that are not yet. They're supposed to be end of next year. I want to say. Well, I think it's North Carolina this year, and then South Carolina
end of next year.
Yeah, it's because PepsiCo owns the distribution for it. It's called Blue Cloud. Goat Energy made it up to Nashville. There you go. Get that goat energy. Another drink.
2 tires. Surprisingly good. Yeah. I was surprised with the 2 tires. I didn't think
strategy-wise.
Yeah, strategy-wise, track position-wise. I mean, obviously it shows how important track position clean air is.
Yeah, I mean, some of the guys got them, and it didn't work out too well for them. Some of the guys got them, and they did really well. I mean, like I said, Blaney did really well. Kyle Larson did very well. Some of the other ones, like Reddick, when he got his, he did okay at first, but then he got anchored.
I think McDowell took 2 tires.
McDowell took 2 tires, and he went back. But then he got 4 tires that next stop because they had the caution, and he made his way all the way back up in the top 10. I'll tell you what, whenever you start looking at some of the names that are in the top 10 lately, with Ricky Stenhouse, who got wrecked out, unfortunately.
My God, Ricky, if it wasn't for that wreck or anything, Ricky would have had a hell of a last couple of weeks, and he still has had a really good last couple of weeks. So
yeah,
let's not take away the bad finish position of where he ended up at to reflect on, what he was doing this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, him and McDowell both have done really well this year, kind of quietly. I mean, obviously, Ricky won Daytona, so it's not that quiet for him. But you look at McDowell and who else drives one of those cars? Oh, goodness.
Gillen.
Yeah. No,
Gillen and Zane.
Yeah,
and honestly, let's give a shout out to Todd Gillen too, because I mean, even though he's kind of on and off in that car this year, that 38 car has been performing as well, above where they normally have.
Which it's crazy when you look at that and you think of, okay, how are they doing so much better now? And you got teams like Spire, who's still obviously in the back of the pack. You got Legacy, who just cannot get anything going.
Well, I mean, Spire, we'll touch on Spire in a little bit with Carson and everything, but I mean, Spire, that 7 car, whether LaJoie's been driving it or Hocevar, that car has been running decent. Faster. Yeah. That's the right word. They're, very top 20 top side of the top 20 versus, hanging around 26, 27, 28th in points. So they've definitely picked it up. Ty Dillon, we're not going to talk about him, but
if your last name's Dillon, you're pretty much garbage to me. Sorry.
No, Austin's okay.
I really don't like either of them.
Have you seen his mustache?
People-wise, great people. Race drivers, I really just
don't like. Did you see his mustache after the race this weekend?
I did. Oh. If we're talking about mustaches, though,
incredible.
We got to talk about that chocolate milk stain on Noah Gregson's list. First, the bull cut. Now he's got a freaking chocolate milk stain.
I saw that too, and I was like, "What is going on?"
He's got that dirty Sanchez, right?
Darlington, the throwback race, and he had the little trash dash going on, like the Fu Manchu or the handlebar dash. Oh, that was so terrible.
He's trend setting. He's going to end up with a bowl cut and a dirty Sanchez at the same time.
He needs that whatever the hell Bubba Wallace haircut he's got going on right now too.
I think it would be hilarious if he grows out a mullet, but then does a bowl cut for the front half and then the mullet in the back half. That would be something that I feel like Noah would actually do.
That's why you got to love Noah Gragson, though. The energy, the vibe, everything he does. Like, he just no fucks to give.
He's great. I mean, obviously his brake rotor exploded as well, which we'll talk about the brake rotors here in this a little bit more. But his brake rotor exploded, and a piece of it actually came out and hit a fan in the stands. Mm-hmm. And they posted it, and Noah was like, "Hey, I'm sorry that this happened. Reach out to me, and we'll make it right." And that takes something. I mean, he's actually monitoring his social media, which is great. I'm sure he has a PR person that saw it and was like, "Hey, do this." But the fact that he actually reaches out, and then the fan who just said, "Nah, it's good. Just go kick somebody's butt next week." So, I mean, it's great for the fans. I mean, it kind of shows you difference between we just had the Indy tire go through the car and then what that all ended up as. And now you got these brake rotors that hit a fan, and that person's just like, go get them. Do it for Dale.
I looked up the under points currently as they stand. I got to take it back about Gilliland. The 36 car, I said 38. It's actually 36. The 36 is actually 37th in points. So,
he had he had a couple bad weeks.
Wait, no, I'm still looking at this wrong.
He's done well, but he hasn't been in the car permanent either.
I must be overlooking. Oh, no. No. The 34 for McDowell is 21st in owner points. That's really good.
For them, especially.
And McDowell, he's been carrying front row for the last couple of years. But the 38, I was right. The 38 is Gilliland. And Zane, he's been running that car too. Yeah. 23rd in owner points. That's very impressive.
Yeah. It's Ford was always the one to me that wasn't putting money towards their teams. But now I feel like they're just balancing their money, and Chevy's just focusing on 3. Which obviously I think Stuart Haas gets the majority of that money.
Yeah.
And then but I think Roush Fenway's the gap between Roush Fenway and then like front row, I don't think is as big as the gap between, let's say, Trackhouse and Spire, Trackhouse, Legacy, all that before obviously the changeovers.
Yeah. I think Ford is more of a closely tight knit group. Obviously, everybody in the Ford camp runs Roush Yates engines.
Yep.
Chevrolet still has Hendrick and ECR, even though they do collab on quite a bit of stuff, and they still make horsepower. Still are winning. Obviously, it's showing.
Yeah.
But right. I think Ford has put all their eggs in the same basket, and they're all working together, and it's showing because even RFK they've been running a lot better this year, and I mean I still got it pulled up here.
They're making steps in the right direction.
The 6 car is 11th in owner points. And the 17 is 13th.
Which he had a heck of a weekend.
They're both in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously he had a heck of a weekend because Brad's engine was basically just holding on for dear life.
And he still finished on the lead lap.
Yep. I remember he got that wave around, and they were like, yeah, this is why you stay out. This is why you don't just park it and say, screw it, we're done for the day. I think he ended up with 6 points too, which, I mean, you park it, you got 0.
DNFs, I hate that we have the DVP and everything to where these guys, they get in a wreck and, they have enough damage to where they have to, go to the garage when they're done. I hate that because these guys, they work really hard not to have DNFs. And you look at who was it that posted in the group chat not too long ago who has the most DNFs since the next gen cars come out? Ty Dillon, Kyle Larson is like second as far as
Noah
DNF.
Gregson was on the list pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember who posted it, but yeah, I know Shama.
It's crazy, how many DNFs we're seeing nowadays because of just race damage. Where a few years ago, these guys, they could tape it up, get back up there.
Yeah, I mean, most of it's coming from blown engines and then like toe links.
Luna. Crazy ass dogs.
They're going crazy.
Yeah. 3 wins for 3Chi. Yes, sir.
Yep. They gotta do another special promotion. I mean, 3 wins.
This is the first win for 3Chi, like as primary though. Because Lucas was on Fontana and the McLaren Grills. Was that the name?
Grills. Yeah.
Talladega. So 3Chi's finally in victory lane as primary.
Yeah. Now, did they ever go? I'm trying to think. Is this their first time in victory lane period? Because did Tyler Reddick in the 3Chi car ever win?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I couldn't remember. I was thinking it yesterday.
I think every win that Tyler had was in the 3Chi car. Yeah.
Okay.
I think 3Chi's kind of cut back their primary sponsorship this year too.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've talked about a lot of stuff. I think they didn't know, moving into all of this, which I'm glad they're doing better with it because, I mean, obviously you're wearing the shirt, they've got hats and stuff, the Kyle Kush and all that. They got to play.
Dude, their PR and their marketing is killing it now as far as, representing Kyle and getting on board with that. So I'm all for it. That's amazing marketing. Kyle Kush, Bush Kush, whatever you want to call it. They have nailed it on that.
Yeah. I mean, you got to tie these things together, make everything all, make it a cohesive marketing unit, and they're doing a great job. Yeah. But all right, so let's start with, I guess we can start a little bit with trucks. I watched a little bit of trucks.
Yeah, I did too.
Not a ton of it. I enjoyed a lot of the racing I was watching, but it did turn into ARC-ish, and that was the part that kind of brought it down because they just started racing like idiots.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I watched a little bit of it. I kind of flipped it on, flipped it off. I had stuff to do anyway, so I wasn't able to watch the entire race. But the segments I did watch, it was okay. I know Deegan, she got dumped, and we can call her Wreck-It Deegan and everything, but there's been a lot of these accidents that she's been in that aren't really her doing.
Not her fault.
She get caught up in it, so. I don't know if you even saw it, that she posted something on Instagram and her dad, Brian, went on there and was just fucking bashing the truck series and just, I'm not sure it was the right thing to do, but.
Dude, truck series has been getting heat. I mean, you got Zane coming out saying, man, it's my fault for staying. I should have left. The truck series is garbage.
We talked about it in the group chat too. It's nothing but money. If you have money, you get a truck ride. It doesn't matter if you have skill, talent, any of that. So, That's the sad part about the truck series. It's not the actual product that's on the track, like the trucks. They've made it more of a spec series, I guess you could say, being that they all have to run those Ilmore engines and everything. Mm-hmm. I'm not calling out the actual series. I'm calling out the drivers, the people that honestly they don't deserve to be in a truck ride.
No. I mean, there's a select few that are doing really well and doing good. I mean, Matt Crafton, I always love Matt Crafton. Enfinger's doing really well. Zane Smith's doing really well. I mean, there are some really good names out there in the truck series, but then you just got some guys and girls out there that they don't know what they're doing. They're pushing it too hard into these corners. They're just dooring somebody to make a turn. Yeah. It just doesn't.
They might have like 3 starts in ARCA or 3 starts in the East or West series, and then that I have money, so I'm going to go get a truck ride. And they have literally no experience, racing in a big field that's more competitive, and they just run over people. So it's a crap look. It's not the truck series. It's not the truck series product. It's the drivers.
Correct. 100% there. But yeah, so congratulations for Grant Enfinger. Now, funny enough, we got a free one of his flags from one of our buddies. And so now we have a 2-time winning flag on the bus, so that's pretty cool.
Very recent 2-time. So
so shout out to Andrew for that. But so truck race, I enjoyed the bits that I watched until it got to the ARCA piece. But let's move on to Xfinity, because I think we both agree that was again probably one of the cornerstones of the 3 series when it comes to what we saw on the track.
Yeah. The Xfinity Series. Now, I probably would say I watched about 90% of it. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of fell asleep during one of the segments, and it was what I had going on Saturday, so
Yeah,
I feel like I can excuse myself, but it wasn't because the racing was boring. I actually really enjoyed the race that I was able to catch.
yeah.
Sheldon Creed, I feel so bad for him. I'm waiting for him to get that first win. I've become a very big fan of his because after the race, they interviewed him, and the dude is just a good sport.
Yeah.
Same thing in Darlington last year, racing with Larson and Gregson. Him and Larson had that epic battle at the end, and Gregson squeaks by and gets the win. And what did Sheldon say? It's just a racing thing. He was happy about it. So, Sheldon, I'm a fan of yours. Keep doing what you're doing. That win's going to come. I can't wait for it to come.
Yeah.
The rest of the race, though, there was some fireworks.
There was a lot of fireworks, and I do want to touch on one thing with Sheldon real quick. Obviously Austin Hill is getting most of that spotlight for that team, and I really don't think there's that big of a difference between Austin Hill and Sheldon Creed. I just think Sheldon Creed keeps putting himself again in just a bad scenario every once in a while, and then someone just cleans his clock.
I think he just has some kind of crappy luck, to be honest. I'm not calling it like the Haley Deegan effect, but he's just been caught up in some weird situations. Just like at Darlington, we were there at Darlington. Both the RCR cars get taken out in that same wreck.
Yeah.
So Sheldon, the win's coming. I know it is.
It's got to.
It's got to. He's got to. I mean, he's a champion of the Truck Series.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to keep picking him because I really think he's going to get the win. It's like Zane for trucks and him for Xfinity. Luckily, Zane finally got to, I thought Zane was going to make it back to the – I don't know what that was. I thought Zane was going to finally make it back into victory lane, but obviously he got kind of outdone on that too. But yeah, I mean, the only thing – my only gripe with Xfinity was turn one, and we talked about this a little bit in the group chat, where it's why can't they make these turn ones on road courses bigger swooping turns to where it's not these hard just run them into the door and then try to make it. I don't understand that part.
So it's not that I don't like the turn one being a tight turn like that, because you look at the tracks we run. Portland's a good example of it. Watkins Glen, you have that tight right-hander, like 90-degree right-hander at Watkins Glen. Sonoma, it's not necessarily turn one, but it is turn two. You kind of have that kink, and then you go up the hill. We'll see it this weekend, and you have the right-hand turn.
I love Sonoma, though.
Right, and then I think it's turn 11 is the paperclip turn.
Yeah.
Same thing with Coda. You have that very tight first turn. Indy road course, same thing.
Charlotte.
Every single road course we go to, turn one is a sharp turn, and we kind of see a shit show. It's not at the beginning of the race. It's not at the middle of the race. It's at the end of the race, because inevitably there's going to be a late race caution, and you're going to see these guys. I don't care anymore. I'm just going to send it, and that's what they're doing now. I will have to give the Xfinity Series props, because even though Allgaier and Sheldon got taken out on that last restart by Kligerman, I mean, he just sent it. I don't understand that. Even though they got taken out, there wasn't a big pileup or anything going in turn one. So in order, though, to fix this turn one situation, I feel like they just need to move the restart zone back. There's nothing wrong. They give the one to go on the back side of the racetrack. So if they give the one to go there, why can't they just make that the restart zone, or make the restart zone, two corners before?
I don't know, because I feel like if they back it up, they're just going to have more speed into those kind of turns, because people are already dive bombing because they've seen it work. You've seen guys come from the 15, 16, 17, 18 into the top 10 because they just dive bomb that corner, and then it sticks because they hit someone to make it stick. So I don't know if backing it up would fix it. I just would like to see, more of a swooping turn, in my opinion. I'd like to see just something, maybe an uphill swoop turn or something like that makes it more spread out. And I really think the back end of the course can have more tight turns, but the front end of the course, anytime there's front end of the course tight turns, it's going to be a shit show, I feel like.
Well, I understand why the road courses construct their track like this, in order to make excitement, especially on restarts. So does it come down to the track is the problem, or is it the etiquette of the drivers.
Racer etiquette.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 100% racer etiquette. If they would just if they would respect each other as much as what the old drivers used to, you got the Jeff Gordons, the Casey Canes, the Matt Kenseth, all those guys. Whenever they would if you messed with them, they would mess with you. So everyone was kind of like, all right, drive in your lanes. You had some guys out there testing the limits. But for the most part, they respected each other enough that they weren't just running all over each other.
Well, so let me ask you this question then. Before the next gen car came out, did we see that many cars getting run over by each other, or many drivers getting run over by each other going into those tight turns on restarts?
I don't think so.
Do you know why?
I'm trying to think back. I mean, obviously they got bigger brakes, bigger tires.
That's exactly what it is. These guys have bigger brakes so they can increase their braking distance. So all they have to do is say, well, I can send it in harder. And if I send it in harder, the car is going to be able to stop. But if I send it a little bit too hard, that's the intensity just ramps up. If you can extend your braking zone, especially with bigger brakes like they have with the next gen car, then that's what they're going to do. Because we didn't see it in the Xfinity series.
No, but Xfinity still does it though. Xfinity, I mean, obviously we saw it. It was in Xfinity. Yeah. But the other thing that the next gen car has is it can downshift, and the way the gear ratios are, they can downshift, and then get right back into the gas and get themselves back up really, really quickly. So you increase the braking, and then also you give them that gearing to do the downshifting. And I think that's the product for Cup Series. Now, Xfinity, they're just Hail Mary. That's all they're doing.
Maybe. I mean, we saw Kligerman do the Hail Mary, but it didn't work out for him. Speaking of which, Kligerman sent it, took out the two guys that I wanted to win, Allgaier and Creed. And then Allgaier had a hell of a run to be able to come back and almost got Cole. Almost got him. I was screaming at the TV. I thought he was going to be able to get him.
I was hoping.
But that's why I like Justin, though. He's a clean, respectful racer. He didn't send in that last turn and say, you know what?
He could have.
He could have, but he didn't.
He definitely could have. Because, I mean, we were watching some stuff. And I'm glad, I want to go back to Sheldon Creed real quick. John Hunter just used him up. Yeah. And I'm glad that Sheldon didn't just go, okay. No, Sheldon paid it back, but he paid it back in a manner that actually was like, it would look like just, it was a racing incident. There was no deliberate approach to it. He went out of his way. And the way he did it cost John Hunter way more positions than what John Hunter costed Sheldon when that happened for his.
Again, I'm proud of Sheldon and exactly how he handled the entire race. And it's 100%. Funny, I don't know if you saw the post race where John Hunter walked down to talk to Sheldon after the race.
Fist bumped.
Fist bumped him, and Sheldon said, "Hey, I got him back, so I really don't care."
He's like, "I'm good now."
Yeah.
At least it's that instead of my fist did the talking, and yet you watch the video and it's.
So, I was definitely on board with Jeb. I was supporting him because, look, if Chandler can't dump him in one try and has to take 3 different tries to dump him, that's unexcusable. You deserve to have your jaw broken for that. Mm-hmm. So the fact that Chandler had to try 3 different times to be able to wreck him, that's one thing. But for Jeb to say that he let his fist do the talking, and then Chandler came back and trolled the fuck out of him on a social with, my face is just fine. None of the fist actually making contact.
There was somebody that was like, if you look at this fist here. I was like, come on.
You had me, Jeb. You had me, and then you lost me.
Yeah, if you're going to say that your fist did the talking, at least land a punch. I mean, your crew did more than you did, honestly. The one guy was choke holding him, which that really shouldn't happen. We shouldn't see.
Can we talk about crew members getting in fights, though?
Yeah.
Let the drivers do the fighting. Crew members are such pussies being able to jump in and do that stuff.
Well, and that's the problem, too. Crew members always get suspended when they do it. I'd like to see, crew members can fight other crew members. No problem there. Drivers are the only ones that should be able to fight other drivers. Nobody else.
Correct.
It's just you don't turn it into a mad dash. I agree with hockey rules. Give them 20, 30 seconds. Once they hit the ground, stop it.
Yep.
But give them a couple swings. I mean, obviously the crew chief, I think it was Jeb's crew chief, or it might have been Chandler's crew chief, was the one that was kind of breaking it up already. And then obviously
I don't know. Chris Rice was in there.
I saw Chris Rice come up and he talked with him a little bit, but I want to say it was the crew chief for Chandler who pulled off the crew member that had Chandler in the chokehold or Jeb in the chokehold, whoever it was. Yeah. And I think it was Chandler, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I mean, it makes no sense. I'd like to see them fight it out themselves. Don't get the crews involved. Just shouldn't.
Yeah, I agree.
But,
I thought we were going to see more fights on pit road.
The way everyone was talking, it sounded like there was going to be some fights on pit road. Yeah. But then again, everyone talks about
disappointed, to be honest.
Yeah, everyone likes to talk junk, but when it comes time to throw in them hands, hey, you call it 1-800 these hands. Let's go. I mean, these guys got to get something going.
Jebs didn't go. They went. They didn't make contact though.
He made a collect call and they didn't pick up on the other end.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's oof. But, all right, so let's see. Great job for Cole Custer. I mean, I don't have a problem with Cole, but not one of my favorite racers. A lot of other guys I like to see out there. Obviously, Josh, rated E for everyone. Yeah, there's a reason why I can make E, son.
Rated, yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of other guys out there I'd like to see get that win. But Cole got it. Great for him. Congratulations. Back in the winner's circle. Obviously, he couldn't do that much in the Cup Series. That's why he's back in the Xfinity Series. But we'll see. We'll see what next race gives. Hopefully, Sheldon can bounce back. Obviously.
Does this light the momentum wick for Cole Custer, though? Because
hopefully
he definitely his last year in Xfinity was a championship contender. We haven't really seen that this year from him.
Not at all.
Is that because Ford's a weaker program? Is that because Ford is weaker? Is it because Stuart Haas is weaker? What is it?
Or Ford's Xfinity and truck program is abysmal compared to everyone else's.
Ford has definitely they lost any momentum they had in their driver development program.
Yeah. Between Toyota has probably the best, in my opinion, then Chevy. Because Chevy they pick great people, but Toyota, the way they bring them up and actually get them going through, I really like how Toyota's been doing that. Chevy, obviously, there's so many people running Chevys. Everyone's like, oh, Chevy's the best. But there's just so many people. So it's easier to have better talent when you have 90% of the racers when it comes time on track. Yeah. But Ford's definitely last. I mean, there's no – I don't feel like there's any argument in saying that Ford's not last in development.
Yeah.
So we'll see what it comes to. Hopefully they'll get better. I mean, obviously Zane, we've heard obviously that he might go up into the Wood Brothers car and Harrison moving over to the 10. I think that's a win for Ford if that happens. But who do they replace Zane with if that happens? I don't know. I don't know who you pick.
I mean, you could argue Haley, but really Haley's time in the Truck Series is very limited, in my opinion.
She needs to go to Xfinity.
I feel like she needs an Xfinity ride, or she just needs to give it up. But I don't want to see her give it up because I think she's great for the sport. Her, I mean, when we were in Charlotte, we didn't get to talk about Charlotte that much because of obviously technical difficulties. But there was quite a crowd around her hauler there in Charlotte, and obviously she snuck out the backside and made it down to the grid. But out of everybody there, I would say that Haley probably had the best following as far as popularity there in the garage area.
For Truck Series, I agree. I mean, every time I've gone into the garage or gone around, Haley is one of the biggest ones that has a crowd around it. When we're doing our lives during the truck race, it's always, where's Haley at? Can you show Haley? I mean, it's consistent. So she has the fan base. And I think it's just she needs to get to Xfinity. If she's in Xfinity, she's going to run better. I'd like to see her get a chance in a Cup ride. Honestly, I think that would be really cool to watch.
Yes, but she needs a lot more time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking this is like going next year. That would be my goal for her for next year is to get some seat time in some Cup car for at least one race, and then next year try to go for two.
I think it's too early for that. I think she needs to go to Xfinity. She needs to spend 2 years in Xfinity just relearning everything, because whatever she's learning, that's the other problem with her being in the truck series. She could be learning some bad habits.
Yeah.
So she needs to go ahead and just make if anybody can get her in an Xfinity car, that's what needs to be done. And I know she has Ford alliances, and that's going to be the problem for her making the step to Xfinity, because there's not a lot of Fords out there. You've obviously got Stuart Haas. Are they going to open a third car?
They need to.
Or
someone needs to.
Yeah, or are they going to promote Cole Custer again and then be able to put her in Cole's old car? You've got SS Greenlight, which they're not really that great of a team unless they get some Stuart Haas backing, which we saw Cole won last year in an SS Greenlight car, but it was a Stuart Haas prepared car, so you can't really talk that much about it.
Yeah.
And then Ryan Sieg, I think he's the only other Ford team out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot. I'd like to see, front row or something, get an Xfinity team going, get some more Fords out there. But I mean, you got to think about it too. Like Carson Hocevar did really well in the Cup Series for this one race. Zane Smith obviously has done really, really well. And there's, not really skipping Xfinity because I know Carson did, but Zane didn't do as much. But they went straight to Cup, and they're doing decent. They're actually doing pretty good.
Those guys, especially Zane Smith, he's just a raw talent kind of guy. As far as Carson, I think Carson's got the talent. He just needs to be refined. I think he's definitely a diamond.
There's a lot of refining because he needs to stop right rearing people too. He's one of the ones that gets away with it, but he needs to stop.
We saw what Carson did obviously this weekend. We'll get there in here in a minute, but obviously, I think the thing that's hurting Haley right now is just her alliance with Ford. There's not a clear pathway for her to make a jump anywhere. She would have to switch manufacturers.
Yeah. And I don't think Ford's going to let that happen.
Yeah, I don't think Ford's going to let her go because she's a marketing guru more than anything.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move into Cup. We've talked about all the rest. Let's move into Cup Series race now. So how did you feel about the race itself?
I loved the one lap and then the caution and then the 45 minutes to an hour and a half red flag or whatever it is for Lightning. I thought that was fantastic.
So it was funny. I was like, all right, I want to go out on the boat. And so I'm like, I'm going to go out on the boat. I'm just going to watch the race on my phone on the boat. And literally the one lap and the lightning delay, and I'm like, okay, don't have to watch the phone anymore. Just turn on the jams and start going around the lake, went tubing and stuff like that. And I'm like, I kept looking. I'm like, is it back yet? Is it back? No. Okay. No. Okay. I swear that race was trying to set a new record and beat the Coke 600.
So I saw a meme a little bit ago before we went live, and it talked about how it was a SpongeBob meme, and it was the Coke 600. He goes, that was like a 5-hour race, and it was SpongeBob going, you want to see me do it again? And it was the Illinois 300 or whatever. So a 600-mile race versus a 300-mile race, and it took the same amount of time.
Exact same amount of time. And what's best about it is not a single raindrop ever touched the track.
Nope.
Not a single one.
I respect NASCAR for the safety that they are trying to implement for the fans and crew members, track members, whoever it is with Lightning. But these Lightning holds are ridiculous. I mean, let's cut it down to 15 minutes or something.
And I get it. I get why they have to do it for that safety aspect. But yeah, I mean, 30
minutes is too long. I mean, it doesn't take too long for a thunderstorm, especially a cell like that, to move over. So
the way that everything moves so quickly nowadays, I agree with you. They need to shorten that down a little bit, make it a little bit more interesting. Because I mean, it was literally like every single time it would be like, okay, we're good. Another lightning strike.
Dude, it was literally RFK social person put out a picture or whatever. How Brad was like, I think we're about to go racing. And then it literally like 2 minutes left on the clock at reset because another strike.
Yep. I'll say this. RFK social media person, at least their Twitter person, was on fire this weekend.
No, they're on fire every weekend.
Dude, I was dying laughing. Between last weekend and this weekend, I guess it's the first time I've actually paid attention to them. I was dying laughing at
their social person needs a raise.
That was perfect. Like, you would have thought Brad was winning by the way they were tweeting, but no, they just didn't care. They were just tweeting. It was hilarious what they were putting out there. Yeah. Between them and Legacy's guy just needs to stop tweeting during the race. Every single time they tweet, so-and-so's worked up in the top 20, crashed out, or we're going to have a great day today. All 3 cars don't finish the race. I mean, it's crazy. They keep trying to go like, yeah, well, this is the positive, and then it just doesn't happen. So they need to stop jinxing themselves. They gotta stop. But RFK, bravo for your social media person.
So they obviously we ran one lap, and then the caution came out for Tyler Reddick. He spun.
Yep.
Now, while they were running under caution, that's when the lightning hit, and they had to delay it. Let's get past the delay. Once they got the race restarted, it was a pretty decent race. I was thoroughly impressed with it. I did not have very many expectations going into it because it's the second time we've run it. I wasn't sure. I'm not really sure about this track, but hey, the fan turnout was amazing. Those stands were packed. Didn't they say it was sold out? 60,000?
I think they said it was another sellout track, which is great. I mean, that's not a small track. That is not.
NASCAR's dead though, so
yeah, NASCAR's dead. So can't sell out a track. Can't sell out the Daytona 500, even though it was.
600 was sold out.
If it didn't have weather, 600 would have been packed stands.
Yeah.
All the people that are like, look how empty the stands were.
Hey, the stands were pretty filled up for the 600 with it being a Monday race.
Yeah, exactly. For how much it got pushed and all the weather we had. Yeah.
Now, I will say the infield cleared itself out pretty well, but
yeah,
that's to be expected.
Yeah. Especially it gets dry. It gets very soggy on the infield. So some people getting afraid they're going to get stuck. It makes sense. Atlanta's definitely bad about that. I love Atlanta's infield camping, but that's one thing that's, their drainage on the infield is not the best. So
it can turn into a swamp pit
very, very quickly. But overall, great racing. Obviously, they have longer straightaways before the turn, so there's more speed. And so, obviously, we've talked a little bit about the brake failures that we've seen. But, do you think it's something that needs to change, or do you think it's something where these drivers learn with experience? Because we didn't see it with some of the big long-term guys like Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Brad, obviously with an engine failure, so you can't really judge him. But Joey was fine. So it was only the guys, the newer.
So it was both 2311 cars. They both blew right front rotors. Noah had an issue.
Noah was bad.
Yeah, there was one more. Who was the last one?
Tyler Reddick, Bubba.
I can find it here in a minute.
Yeah.
But I don't.
It was Ford.
Hocevar.
Yes, Hocevar, because that's why he ended up not finishing the race.
Right.
That's right.
So to answer your question, I don't. Obviously, these are all spec cars because we know these. Look, I'm going to go on a tangent here just for a split second. Every single team that's out there, they are cheating. They are messing with parts. They are modifying parts.
You ain't cheating. You ain't winning.
That's why we saw the hefty penalty, the 14 car, the lubricate situation with HMS, the RCR fine on Austin Dillon. These guys are trying stuff. Now, that being said, the way the guys are cooling their brakes, that can be the issue that's going on here. Randall Burnett said something. I watched a little bit of his post-race conference or whatever, and he said they just have to go back and look at the data and see how these guys are cooling their brakes, because the 2311 guys, they could have been running not enough cooling. Maybe they had their ducts caked off enough, or they can't run tape. So let me take that back. But it could be a cooling issue with them. It's hard to say. It's obviously it could be driver preference. Some of these guys could be getting on the brakes in the late, in the braking zone very late, and putting a lot more heat into them. Some guys could be trail braking or riding the brakes a little bit more. It's hard to say. They are all spec parts, obviously, especially brake parts. They're all sourced together. So you would think that if it truly was a part manufacturer issue, you would see it be more sporadic across all the teams.
Yeah.
You would think you would see a Hendrick car, a Penske car, whoever it is. But with it being two 2311 cars, I mean, it could be something that they are trying.
I don't know. I don't really think it was brand specific. I mean, obviously 2311 before it had to do with.
That's a very good point. These guys, they complained about lack of grip most of the race.
Yeah. Very loose.
How do you fix that? Brake bias. If they are loose they're going to be putting a lot more brake in the car. So
And you
Probably.
got to also think they were talking about cycling the brakes. Obviously, with the longer straightaways, they're not on the brake. Then they have to get heavy in the brakes into the cornering. The red flags did not help. The pausing of the race did not help. So, I mean, there was a bunch of things that were cycling these temperatures for those brakes. And these are carbon ceramics. These are not steel brakes like they used to use.
No, they're still rotors.
Are they still rotors? I thought they were
Yes.
going. I thought they moved
No,
to carbon
no,
ceramics.
they're not carbon rotors. They are still steel rotors.
Still rotors. Okay. So I think then I think they could move towards carbon ceramics, but then you're still moving more towards sport car instead of stock car.
Well, the biggest problem is if they move to carbon ceramic, that's another cost that the teams have to take on.
They
And
don't care about
carbon
cost.
is, huh?
We got to stop the whole they're
Yeah,
taking
I
down
mean,
costs. They don't care
we
about
already
cost.
are adding so much more cost to the cars. If you add another, I don't know even where to start, $25,000.
Yeah, I mean you're talking
Per car
thousands.
for brakes, just for one set of brakes.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a ton of money, but if you're making it towards this, it's a heavy car. It is a
But
very heavy car.
but let's look back though. We've had a lot of next gen races now. How many brake failures have we seen?
This year, not many. Last year, there was a bunch because we were talking about it last year.
Last year we had we did not have a lot, but we did have enough to where there was a concern.
Yes. Okay.
And it was primarily found like in practice. I remember quite often there was a couple races that there was some practice sessions, and they said that there was what is G56 Garage 56?
They're using ceramics. I think it's a requirement for that type of car.
I don't know. I'm not too familiar. I'm not too familiar with the Garage 56 car. Like, I'm kind of tuned into it, but at the same time, I'm not. Why did that go away? God damn it, Joseph! You broke my fucking train of thought.
It's carbon, so they run carbon. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a requirement for those cars. But yeah, they're running carbon brakes.
Yeah. Last year during practices, NASCAR had to make an exception for teams to be able to change the rotors because they found cracking in the rotors during practice.
Yes.
So that could have been like a supply chain issue, obviously. But yeah. I don't really remember too many races last year, like in the race, cars blowing rotors like they did this weekend. This weekend was extreme.
Yeah, this weekend was extreme. Blowing rotors, no. There was a lot of them for boiling the fluid. I remember a lot of the boiling the fluid during the race, but I don't remember rotors disintegrating like it did here. I mean, this definitely a safety concern because, I mean, when Noah's went and the way that he went into that wall, if that would have been one of last year's cars without the changes to the back of the car, I'm pretty sure Noah would have had a concussion because that car was just torched. I'm glad they've made the changes they've made.
That was a massive hit.
It was hard hit. Like, I'm surprised Haley didn't end up with something. I mean, obviously those trucks are made a whole bunch different, but I mean, her hit was pretty dang hard too.
Yeah, it was a hard hit, but again, that's a
whole different chassis, whole different setup.
That's a different thing.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
and then Noah, let's talk about Noah just for a split second.
Okay.
He was the only driver that I had seen out of these brake failures that rather than turn right, and that's very counterintuitive, so I'm not knocking him for this, but he's the only one that actually went into the turn and turned left and went into the turn and continued to turn left. And that's what made that wreck even worse.
So bad. He made a mistake.
Yeah.
He's human. Obviously, I think he made a mistake there. It's a little bit of that lack of experience kind of showing. He's a great racer. I love Noah, like we've talked about. But
he'll learn. Yeah,
you got to talk about his after when they interviewed him after he got released from the medical center. The man looked defeated.
Hey, Noah this is his first full-time year, and he's running for Rookie of the Year, obviously. The thing with Noah is he obviously was in a JRM car, Xfinity, didn't win the championship, but won a ton of races, had a lot of success. He just made the jump to the Cup Series, and he believes that he has the talent to stay in the Cup Series. Yeah. But he's on a team that is kind of in a limbo right now until they switch over to Toyota, and they just aren't getting the results. Now, the brake rotor issue, I doubt that has anything to do with manufacturer. like Chevrolet.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Noah has had some glimpses of success, and just does not have the results to show for it. So yes, he's defeated. He's defeated. I agree with that. But this is where Jimmy just has to step in and be like, "Look, man, next year, clean slate. We're gonna take off. New manufacturer. I really think you're gonna see Noah shine in the next couple of years. It's gonna take some time. You look what Ty Gibbs is doing. He's in a Toyota.
Yeah, but and that team is one of the highest funded Toyota. I mean, there's only 2 right now. There's going to be 3 finally. But, I mean, that's definitely – I really think that if you put Noah in that same type of car, they're finishing neck and neck, and it's really a race between the two, kind of like it was in Xfinity Series, obviously, between them, where Ty got some, Noah got some.
Yeah.
And, I hope he keeps his head up. I mean, obviously, we love him as a racer. He's came sat on the bus. We've talked about him a bunch. I just hope he doesn't let it get to him, and then it starts affecting his on-track persona.
No, I don't think so. I mean, he's still carrying himself very well. I mean, obviously, you saw the whatever mustache thing he had going on there. So, I don't think Noah is going to be too affected by this. He just, he's got to take his licks. Being a rookie in the Cup Series is not easy. So.
Not at all. But, all right, so let's move on to Corey LaJoie versus his own car. How did you think that was going to turn out before the race ever started?
All right. Before the race started, I really, really thought Corey was going to have top 15. I really thought he was going to run top 15, kind of, fight for a top 10, maybe get a stage point or 2. I really thought that he was going to be able to show not necessarily his talent, but he's a top car, Hendrick car. I really thought that we were going to see what a Hendrick car could do, and boy, was I wrong.
It did not turn out that way. So I did not think he was going to finish the race. I thought that he was going to spin, crash, and then be out of the race.
No. I didn't think he was going to wreck the car.
I didn't think he was going to make the race. I honestly, he was not doing well anywhere this weekend. Obviously, practice, qualifying, everything. So I'm like, he's going to end up wrecking. And now what surprised me is his own car. So Carson Hocevar. That part's the part that surprised me.
That's not a good look, man.
It is not. When you're trying to sit there and say that you could do better with better equipment, and the car that you're usually racing in, that's not great equipment.
That is literally like the worst scenario of how that could have played out.
Yeah, that would not be good. It was so funny how many people were like, Chase Elliott's got to be scared. Chase Elliott's going to be scared. Corey's going to take his job.
The only thing that would have been worse, is if Hocevar would have finished the race and finished ahead of Corey.
He was going to. If Hocevar did not have the brake issues, he was going to finish ahead of where LaJoie finished.
Well, where it can't be. Yeah. I mean, obviously things could have changed, but still, yes.
But
at the time when Hocevar was running, he was at some point he was 15 positions better than Corey.
Yeah, and you can't be like, oh well, Hendrick had an off day. Larson was in the back at the beginning. He made it to the front. Byron was in the front all day.
I will say Hendrick did have an off day. It wasn't their best showing. When it comes to qualifying, times, all of that, yes, Larson was able to finish 4th. Byron was up there leading half the race. Bowman was in contention for stage points. I give Bowman a little bit of a shadow of the doubt because of his injury and everything, coming back from it. So he's just getting back into it. I'm not defending Corey in any way here. I will say that Hendrick did have an off day compared to how they've been running. Yeah. That being said, it's no excuse to run 26th to 30th for 3/4 of the race.
Yep. And then finishing in 21st. I mean, you got to take into consideration Josh Berry, who obviously also filled in for the 9 car, same car. Obviously set up differently probably for the races that he raced versus this because they're not the same. But his very first race in the 9 car was 29th. His second was 10th. His third, I think, was back at 18th, and then he finished second for his fourth, and then 24th or something for his fifth.
But so I want to take that second place out because that was the strategy call. Let's talk about just sheer driver talent, car. So you have 24th, 18th, so those positions. That's where I expected Corey to be able to best himself because Corey has experience in the next gen car versus Josh Berry not having very limited experience. Corey should have been contending top 15, contending for stage points.
Yep. He should have. He should have been much better than what he is. I mean, Josh Berry either showed that he's already better than Corey, or Corey just let it psych himself out that he was in better equipment and that he had to perform. And I really hope it's that part that he thought he had to perform and that hindered his on-track presence, because I think Josh Berry's great, and I'm glad. I'm obviously I don't know if they've officially announced that he's signing with SHR, but pretty much everyone knows he's signing with SHR, and I really think it's the 4-car.
Obviously,
yeah, I mean it's what's probably going to happen here, and if he continues the way he's going, next year is going to be good for Josh. I really can't wait to see Josh in the Cup Series.
Well, obviously, you don't get a lot of second chances, especially in NASCAR.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're going to see Corey get a second chance in a Hendrick car. I would like to see him get a second chance in a Hendrick car at a Hendrick dominant track. I want to see what he could do then.
So I think
because again,
I agree.
I am not defending Corey on how he finished and how he ran this race, but it was an off race for Hendrick. Kyle Larson, who I'm not being biased in any means here, Kyle Larson's been one of the best cars all year long. And that first stage, 30th, almost last. They came back, they made adjustments, made it better. There's obviously a combination of Kyle and Cliff that helped that situation. That there's a lot going on that we're seeing here.
Yeah.
But as far as Corey and his talent, I would like to see him in a Hendrick car at a Hendrick dominant track.
Well, I think he'd be good. I mean, put him in Atlanta. If he gets in a Hendrick car and he's filling in Atlanta, I mean, obviously, other than Chase kind of cleaning his clock a few years back now, he was running really well at Atlanta most of the times. And so I really think Corey could do something at a super speedway, obviously, or super speedway style. Charlotte would be a good one to see him race at, a 1.5-mile track, any of those. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you a little bit, but at the same time, if you get the chance, you got to capitalize on. Like you said, there's not a lot of second chances.
Do I think he still deserves another chance? Cup Series is.
Yes, but I think Carson deserves another second chance to be in the Cup car now more than Corey does, because Corey's already in one.
Hell yeah, I agree with that.
So we'll see what comes up from that.
Now, and again, we've talked about it before that the 7 car definitely has more funding. Loosely, we're going to use that word loosely. They have more resources or funding than the 77 that Ty Dillon's in. So if you put Carson in the 77, I'm not sure you're going to see what Carson did in the 7 car.
Yeah, the 77 there's no money there anymore. I mean, it's basically sponsored by Glad trash bags. So I mean, it's just there's not much going on there.
Don't be mad. You hate him so much, don't you?
Yeah, but all right. So congratulations.
We trust.
Congratulations to Kyle Busch, his 3rd win of the year. You picked 4 wins this year. I picked, I want to say 3 if I remember right. So I think I'm going to be wrong, and I think you said in the group chat that you think you might end up being wrong too, because we're still early in this year. It could happen.
Put that on the shirt.
Put that on a shirt. One day. We got to get some more merch with some of the stuff.
We got the video from Chairgating.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kyle Busch. Is Joe Gibbs kicking himself?
Yeah, he has to be. How much money has he lost out on now? I mean, let's see. Joe Gibbs has had Martin Truex, Denny. Is Bell won? No. Bell hasn't won this year, right?
Yeah, Bell won Bristol.
That's right. Bo won Bristol. So he's got 3 wins with 3 different drivers this year. And Kyle Busch by himself has 3
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
So he has to be kicking himself. The sponsorship money, the amount of money that brings in, that win brings in, it has to be, he has to be kicking himself. And, obviously he said, oh, it wasn't the money. He didn't want Joe to pay him out of his own pocket. That's BS. Money is money.
Yeah. I'm sure Joe is happy that Kyle's having success, but I'm sure he's disappointed at the same time that he wasn't able to keep that talent. It just goes to show what a talent he is to be able to carry that organization. And I'm not disrespecting Austin Dillon whatsoever, but Kyle Busch is carrying. I mean, Tyler Reddick did it last year with that 8 car. It's definitely the team, but moving forward, I think that we're going to see a dominance of the 8 car for years to come.
Yeah.
I think now the question is Kyle Busch a legit championship contender?
I think he is. And, before we move on from that topic, I want to say one thing. And I want to ask this one question. Who do you think is kicking themselves more? Joe Gibbs or Eminem's Mars? Because they were one of the main sponsors. And, obviously he wasn't doing that great last year before. He's still getting wins, but I think he's performing better right now than he was those 2 years. And so that's a lot of publicity.
I think that Joe Gibbs is kicking himself more than Eminem's and Mars. I think Mars got everything they could have ever hoped for out of that relationship with Kyle Busch.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great relationship. Things end. We saw it with Lowe's and Jimmy Johnson. We saw it with Home Depot and Tony Stewart. Some of these guys, they can't stick around, or their sponsors can't stick around for a full career. So, as far as that goes, I think Joe is kicking himself more and hates that he wasn't able to keep him. Now, again, my question though is Kyle Busch your championship favorite or contender this year?
For this year,
3 wins. He's tied with Byron.
honestly, if I'm putting who I think is going to win it this year, if they continue, I said it at the beginning of the year that I thought, if Byron could keep it consistent, that he would be a very good contender. So far, he's kept it consistent, and I really think right now it's Byron's to lose.
Byron. So
Or
yes,
Larson
Byron.
at all
Byron
times.
definitely is a championship 4 favorite. I think I had Byron in my championship 4, but I also had Kyle Busch in my championship 4.
Mm-hmm.
And Kyle is showing that he's a legitimate shot.
Yeah, I didn't have him in my championship 4, and I think that I'm going to be wrong there. Just judging off of what I'm seeing, I think he is a championship 4 material. I just think it's going to be, now I would say Busch, Byron, Larson, and then probably a Denny or Logano. I mean, obviously they're always in it. So I think it's one of those two. I'd like to see Denny maybe get his first championship, but at the same time, Denny, it's more of a I like the person. I'm not that big fan of the racer. I want to say, during Bumper Clear, they were talking about, give me a reason why you don't like Denny. I'll give my reason why I don't like Denny. I stood right in front of him to take a picture with him, and he wouldn't even look at me. So I'm going to use that as
that's a horrible excuse. He's trying to get psyched up for the race.
That's a great excuse. The dude, I'm standing. I mean, he literally has to look. He's looking past me. He won't even look at me.
He's about to get in his car.
I'm standing 5 feet from him. I get told, hey, hold on. He's got a key sponsor with their kids, and so they had to see them. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll just stand back.
You can probably smell your feet.
Could smell my feet. It's too hot up there. It's burning off the foot smell. That's methane gas, just burning right off. But yeah, no,
it's cold.
As a person and as what he brings to the table as an owner, love him. As a racer, I like him, but I won't buy any of his stuff. That's one of the guys that I probably won't buy. I'll buy, if they come up with Actions Detrimental shirts, probably buy that. Will not buy Denny Hamlin gear.
I don't know. I like Denny. Denny, the race car driver's kind of growing on me. Denny, the person, I love him. I love what he does. I love what he does for the sport. Now, as far as real quickly back to championship 4, so you had You had Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, William Byron, and either Denny or Logano. I'm gonna keep those three first ones you had.
Mm-hmm.
You got Byron, the Kyle show. I got one more guy that I think is going to sneak in. He's catching fire. Ryan Blaney is going to make his first championship for appearance.
No. He's doing good. He is catching fire, but just like, and a lot of others, he's going to flame out. I don't see it.
I don't know. I see it. I kind of see it happening.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to give Joseph that.
I see big momentum carrying him through the summer months here and racking up a shit ton of playoff points.
You're giving Joseph more hope than hair seeds. I mean, it's just it's not good. It's just
I got a feeling that Ryan Blaney has that Coke 600 win has opened the floodgates.
What was his finish? What was his finish at Phoenix?
Finished second, I think. He was contending. Did you listen to Dale Jr. Downloaded last week with him on it?
I did not.
So he talked about that, and Dale Jr. asked him about, of course, the winless streak and everything. And he wanted to know if there was ever a low point during the winless streak or the hardest part of that winless streak. And Ryan said it was the championship race.
Yeah, it was second.
Because he wasn't able to get past Joey. He had a faster car than Joey and wasn't able to get past him.
I don't know. I don't think
I'm not saying that Ryan's going to win the championship. But I'm saying I think Ryan is going to make a legit case to make the championship for.
I can see the road, but the road's a gravel road that hasn't been kept up very well. I don't think it's him. Denny and Logano are consistently.
You're gonna have to get past them. Yeah, you're gonna have to get past those two. You're gonna have to get past either Larson. You're gonna get past William Byron. But I mean, the competition is tough. But I think that Ryan's gonna go on a little bit of a run here. I'm not talking about wins. I'm just talking about playoff points, stage points. He's going to rack them up. He's going to carry those points all the way through the playoffs and be able to get himself.
It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, obviously he finished well here, and then we're going next week. We're going into Sonoma. I'm interested to see what he does. I don't see it being him. We'll see though. We'll see. But all right, so we're a little bit over an hour in, so let's go ahead and move to our picks real quick.
I mean, Ryan Blaney's leading the points.
Whatever. It's great. The person leading the point, he was leading the points last year and couldn't even make it into the playoffs. Barely.
That's a different situation. We're not.
He leads the points a lot. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah. I'm just saying he's leading the points. So again, if you're leading the points and he's locked in now to the playoffs.
Pretty much.
If he's leading the points. I mean, he could potentially be – all he's got to do is carry this momentum all the way through, win the regular season championship. That's another 15 bonus points.
I don't know. We'll see. I do think Chase Elliott's not going to make it.
You don't think Chase is going to make the playoffs?
He'll make the playoffs. I don't think he's going to make the top four. I don't think he's going to make – I think he's barely going to make the playoffs, and he's not going to make it past –
I got a sneaking suspicion that Chase isn't going to make the playoffs this year.
It's very likely because he's being so inconsistent in the car itself.
That 9 car is not fast.
We know, Joseph. We know. Okay. We understand that, okay? Golly, it's like a bad toupee. It's always there. We don't like it, though. But, yeah, so let's move on to picks. Let's go ahead. I think, let's see, trucks are not racing this weekend, right? So it's just Xfinity and Cup.
Xfinity and Cup are at Sonoma, I can tell you that much.
Let me see.
Trucks.
Next truck race is not till the 23rd.
Yeah, Nashville.
Yep. So, all right. So let's start with Xfinity. Who you picking? I'm picking Sheldon Creed. Obviously, he did really well this race. And we're moving to Sonoma, another road course. I'm really hoping he can get it this time as long as he puts himself in a great spot.
I like Sheldon Creed. I would like to see him win. And since you took my pick, I'm going to go with Justin Allgaier.
That's why I had to hurry up and get it in there. I was like, if I give him a chance.
I was going to pick the two of them. They're going to carry over that speed from last weekend at Portland. I mean,
I agree.
Road course to road course.
Mm-hmm.
I think Justin has shown speed all year long.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the results or the wins to show for it until the 600 or 600 weekend.
Yeah.
Justin would have won Portland, I feel like. So
He
I think
definitely could
I
have.
think he could be sitting on 3 wins in a row here.
Okay.
Technically, 2 wins
Technically.
and 3, but
So
Cup
who you
Series.
got for Sonoma? Cup Series. It is.
I know. I don't know.
You gonna pick your boy Blaney?
No. Blaney, oh wow, Kyle Larson's running the Xfinity race for Hendrick. Just saw that.
Come
I
on.
don't know. Give me a second to think about it. Who do you have?
I'm gonna pick Tyler Reddick. I think Tyler Reddick can get this one done. Obviously, he hasn't had the best year going on. I think he can bounce back from what he just had this last weekend, and I'd like to see Tyler Reddick do rather well. And I think he can.
That's a good pick. I mean, he won Coda.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say dominated, but he had the fastest car.
Yeah,
for sure. So I like the Reddick pick. Let me just look down the list. I gotta get an idea here.
it's a little bit of a crapshoot for this one because road coursing, because of the package change, it's not as clear cut as it used to be. I feel like, at least, and so it's a lot closer of a line of who we think.
I feel like I could go for the low hanging fruit and just pick Kyle Larson because he's always fast at Sonoma.
Does Chase bounce back and move back towards the road race king, or does AJ finally show something in the Colleague car on the road race?
That's not a bad choice with AJ.
I think that should be
I'm going with AJ. I think AJ's got a legitimate shot.
You're going with AJ? That was going to be my second pick. It was going to be my
ghost. I don't know why I wasn't thinking about AJ. He hasn't made any noise this year in the Cup Series.
Yeah, he's been very quiet.
Yeah.
Colleague itself has been very quiet this year, honestly. Xfinity, they do really well, but Cup Series, not so great. They haven't been really mentioned. I think if you're going to do a mashup or a versus, I think it has to be AJ versus Chase in this one. I think it's going to be interesting what that would come down to: equipment versus barely being in the car.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the AJ pick. I'm glad you said that because I probably wouldn't have thought of that.
You're welcome. Anything from the stupid one. But yeah, so there's our picks. We got it kind of covered this week. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure y'all hit that like, hit the subscribe if nothing else. Make sure you go to our sponsors down there. You got use FASCAR 10. Use the links in the link tree. It's the coolers that just you can put an entire 12 pack into it. They got backpack coolers. I mean, they got everything that you need. They got koozies. They got it all. Make sure you go support them and use our code that we get 10% off. It's a great time. And thank y'all for joining us from you got your child there. But that's all I got. What about you, Andy?
That's all I got. You got anything, Luna? No? Okay.
Some bad breath and some dog licks.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, till next time. See you.
See ya. I'm excited for this